What happened in Cavite Mutiny? Case Study 2.
What is Cavite Mutiny? According to the primary source from the experts, Cavite Mutiny, brief uprising of 200 Filipino troops and workers at the Cavite arsenal, which became the excuse for Spanish repression of the embryonic Philippine nationalist movement. Ironically, that harsh reaction of the Spanish authorities served ultimately to promote the nationalist cause. The mutiny was sparked on January 20, 1872, when the laborers received their pay and realized the taxes as well as the fala. The fine one paid to be exempt from forced labor had been deducted from their salaries.
Overview of the Cavite Mutiny. So the year 1872 is a historic year of the events. The Cavite Mutiny and the martyrdom of the priest Mariano Gomez, Jose Borges, and Jacinto Zamora, later on immortalized as Gomborza. These events are very important milestones in Philippine history and have caused ripples throughout time, directly influencing the decisive events of the Philippine Revolution toward the end of the century. While the significance is unquestioned, what made this year controversial are the different sides to the story, a battle of perspectives supported by primary sources. So in this case study, we zoom into the events of the Cavite Mutiny, a major factor in the awakening of nationalism among the Filipinos of that time.
Primary source: expert from Montero's account of the Cavite Mutiny. Cause of the exertion: the abolition of privilege enjoyed by the laborers of the Cavite arsenal from exemption from the tribute. The Spanish Revolution, which is overthrow of circular throne. The propaganda carried on by unbridled praise against the monarchical principle. And century of the most scared respect toward the dethroned majesty, the Democratic and Republican Book of Pamphlets, the speeches and the preachings of the apostle of this new idea in Spain, the outburst of the American publicists, and the criminal policy of this senseless governor whom the revolutionary government sent to govern the Philippines, and who put into practice this idea were determined of circumstance which give rise among the certain Filipino to idea of attaining their.
According to primary source except from Montero's account of the Cavite Mutiny. In the beginning of year 1872, the authorities received anonymous communications with the information that a great uprising would break out against the Spaniards. The minute the fleet of Cavite left for the south, and that all would be assassinated, including the friars, but nobody gave importance to these notices. The the conspiracy had been going on since the days of La Torre with utmost secrecy. At times, the principal leaders met either in the house of Filipino Spaniard, D. Joaquin Pardo de Tabira, or in that of the native priest Jacinto Zamora, and these meetings were usually attended by the curate of Bacoor, the soul of the movement, whose energetic character and immense wealth enable him to exercise a strong influence.
What happened in the Cavite Mutiny? According to the source excerpt from the official report of Governor Esquerdo on the Cavite Mutiny of 1872, from this the insurrection was motivated and prepared by those known as abogadillos. The instigators protested against the injustice of government in not paying the provinces for their crop. They encouraged the rebellion by protesting of having obliged the worker in the Cavite arsenal to pay starting January 1 to render personal service. Esquerdo attempt to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines to install new hari in the person of Father Burgos and Zamora. In the Spaniards' account, The event of 1872 was premeditated and was part of the big conspiracy among the educated leaders, mestizos, lawyers, and residents of Manila and Cavite. They allegedly planned to liquidate high-ranking Spanish officers, then kill the priors.
According to the primary source from the excerpts of the official report of Governor Izquierdo on the Cavite Mutiny of 1872, on January 20, 1872, the district of Sampaloc celebrated the Feast of the Virgin of Loreto, and came with it were some fireworks displayed. 200 men attacked Spanish officers at sight and seized the arsenal, which is led by Sergeant Lamadrid. Izquierdo ordered the reinforcement of the Spanish forces in Cavite to quell revolt. Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora were by a court-martial and sentenced to be executed. On February 17, 1872, they were executed to serve as a threat to Filipinos never to attempt to fight Spaniards again. The following men were suspended, arrested, and sentenced to life imprisonment at the Marianos Island: Joaquin Pardo de Taveras, Antonio Marigidor, Jose and Pio Basa, and other Filipino lawyers.
Excerpts from Pardo de Tavera's account of the Cavite Mutiny. Soldiers in Cavite was used by the Spanish and friars as powerful leva. The central government in Madrid announced its intention to deprive the friars in these islands of powers intervention in matters of civil government, of the direction and management of university. According to this account, the incident was merely a mutiny by Filipino soldiers and laborers of the Cavite arsenal to the dissatisfaction arising from the draconian policies of Izquierdo, such as the abolition of privilege and the general saw as a smokescreen to creating a political club. Tavera thought that the Spanish friars and Izquierdo used the Cavite mutiny as a way to address other issues by blowing out of proportion the isolated mutiny attempt.
Excerpts from Pardo de Tavera's account of the Cavite Mutiny. Central government in Madrid was planning to deprive the fears of all the powers of intervention in matters of civil government and direction and management of educational institutions. The mutiny provides such opportunity for the fears to justify their continuing dominance in the country. The Central Spanish government introduced an educational decree fusing certain school into a school called the Philippines Institute, which is run by the Fears. The decree aimed to improve the standards of education in the Philippines by requiring teaching position in this school to be filled by competitive examinations, and improvement will come by the most Filipinos.
According to the primary source excerpt from Placot's account of the Cavite Mutiny, Junta was created by General La Torre, which is composed of high officials. A committee to investigate the same problem was created by the government in Madrid. These found out they have the same conclusions. Reforms they considered necessary to introduce changes in tariff rates at customs and the method of collection, removal of surcharges in foreign importations, reduction of export fees, permission for foreigners to reside in the Philippines, buy real estate, enjoy freedom of worship, and operate commercial transports flying the Spain flag. Establishment of an advisory council to the Minister of Overseas Affairs in Madrid on the necessary reforms to be implemented. changes in primary and secondary education, establishment of an Institute of Civil Administration in the Philippines, rendering unnecessary the sending home of short-term civil officials every time there is a change of ministry, study of direct tax system, abolition of the tobacco monopoly.
General Izquierdo put a sudden end to all dreams of reforms upon his arrival in Manila. General Izquierdo suspended the opening of the school that should be in Manila, a Society of Arts and Trades, on March 1871. Filipino needs to render service on public roads constructions and pay taxes every year. Workers in the maestranza of the artillery, in engineering shops and arsenal of Cavite are exempted from paying taxes. The priors used the incident as a part of a larger conspiracy to cement their dominance. This showcased the mutiny as a part of a greater conspiracy in the Philippines by the Filipino to overthrow the Spanish government, unintentionally and more so. Prophetically, the Cavite Mutiny 1872 resulted in the martyrdom of Gomburza and paved the way to the revolution culminating in 1898.
Except from placards account of the Cavite Mutiny. The Gombursa is the collective name of the three martyred priests Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, who were tagged as the mastermind of Cavite Mutiny. They were charged with treason and sedition. They were executed by garrots in public as seen purportedly witnessed by a young Jose Rizal. Their martyrdom is widely accepted as the dawn of Philippine nationalism in the 19th century, with Rizal dedicating his second novel at El Filibus Terresmo to their memory.